So this video is on chapter 8, D-Day number 2, Frontside. And I'll do a separate one for the backside. So on this, we need to, when we're graphing, figure out what degree and decide if it's positive or negative. It's going to be negative because of that negative in front. We have 1, 1, 2, 3. So if I add 1 and 1, that's 2, plus another 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is a negative degree 7. So negative degree 7, and a negative degree 7 is going to be like a line, okay? Positive lines would start below and end above. Negative lines start above and end below. We are dealing with something like this, okay? Just get rid of these. Okay, so again, I think of lines for my odd and parabolas for my evens. Okay, so it's going to be like that. And then looking at this, I have a 0, I have a negative 4, I have a 1, which is a double, and I have a negative 2, which is a triple. So again, this right here is going to be a double, and this one here, because of the 3, is going to be a triple. Okay, so I need to be concerned about that when I'm drawing it. Okay, so let me get my graph. Okay, and so I have my 0. Okay, that's going to be a single. My negative 4, that's going to be a single. My 1, which is going to be a double. So I'm just going to kind of highlight that so I remember. And my negative 2, and my negative 2 was going to be a triple. Okay, so I need to kind of pay attention to that. And so when I do this, let me get this a little lighter. Again, it's going to be starting above because it's a negative odd degree. It is going to go through, so this is a single, like a line. It's going to come here. This was a triple, so it's going to almost be like an open down parabola to like an open up parabola. Okay, it's going to have that S-type curve shape. It's going to go through this one, because it's a single. This one's going to be a double, so it's going to bounce back. Okay, and your odds should be starting above and ending below if it is negative. Okay, they always should start and stop in opposite directions, any of my odds. Okay, number 2. So on number 2, we're going to write the exact equation. So that means we're going to need to find an A. Okay, and I'm going to kind of zoom in here on this. So I have a point at negative 3. For my x-intercept, I have another root at 3. I have one at 8. And this one here is going to be a double, so that's bouncing off. The other 2 are singles. They're going through and through. It's not being curved through. That would be a triple. And then they did give us a point. This point right here, 0, negative 2, that's the one we're going to use for our A. Okay, so let me write y equal A. And again, this negative 3 came from an x plus 3, and it bounced off, so it is a square. Then I have this 3, which is coming from an x minus 3. And then I have this 8, which is coming from an x minus 8. And then I'm going to be using this 0, negative 2. Okay. Let's see, I'll put it in purple. So this here, this 0, negative 2. Okay. And here, let me just do this a little more transparent. Okay. So that's 0, -2. So I'm going to put that in for this. So let's try that. Okay, so -2 is equal to a, and 0 plus 3 squared, 0 minus 3, 0 minus 8. So I'm going to get -2 is equal to a. This is going to give me a 9. This is going to give me a -3. And here I get a -8. And here I'm just going to move this so it's off of the picture. Okay, so again, I have 0 here, so that's 3 squared, that's 9, -3, -8. And when I do that, 9 times -3 times -8, I end up with a 216. So I get -2. -2 is equal to 216a, and I'm going to divide by 216. So I get -2 over 216 equals a. I can simplify that if I want, and so my a would be a -1 over 108, and that's what I'm going to be putting in place of my a. Okay, here I'm going to get a little thinner one, and I'm going to do it in red so you can see the answer. So I'm going to have y equal -1 over 108 times x plus 3 squared times x minus 3 and x minus, okay, so one more time, sorry. So we're going to have y equal -108, -1 over 108, x plus 3 squared, x minus 3, x minus 8. And that's your answer. Okay, number 3. So on number 3, we're going to be doing this in standard form. Okay, that means we need to multiply it out and not leave it in factors. Okay, so we have a -1, a 3, and a 7. Not asking us for exact. They did not give us any other point to test it with. Okay, so we're going to have y equal, my -1 comes from x plus 1. My 3 comes from x minus 3. My 7 comes from x minus 7. I'm going to multiply together. So I'm going to multiply these together first. So when I multiply that, I'm going to get x squared. -3 and 1 add to a -2x. Well, add to a -2. So it's a -2x. This 1 and -3 multiply to a -3. Okay, you can always do a box if you prefer. I think of a diamond because there's no number in front of your x, so it's really just a basic diamond. And then I have my x minus 7. Now for this one, I might do a box. Okay, so I'm going to have a 3 by 2 box, or 2 by 3, whichever way you want to think about it. So I have an x squared, a -2x, a -3, and an x minus 7. And I'm going to multiply these together. So this is going to be an x to the third, a minus 2x squared, a -3x. Here this is going to be a -7x squared, 14x, and a 21. And again, they want it in standard form. We're going to write it all out. X cubed minus 9x squared plus 11x plus 21. And that is our answer. Okay. I'll just rewrite it. So -x squared, 14x, 21. So x cubed minus 9x squared plus 11x plus 21. And that is our answer. Number 4. Okay, they're asking us to divide. Okay, and then write out your quotient. We're going to write out what we get when we divide. Now, this x plus 1, if it is a linear factor with an x, not a 2x or a 3x or a 4x, just a plain x, I would do synthetic division. So I'm going to do synthetic division. Whatever makes this 0, that's what I'm going to put here. And then let's write 1, 4, -7, -10. Bring down our 1. 1 times -1 is -1. I add it, 3. 3 times -1 is -3. I add it, -10. -10 times -1 is 10. I add it, 0. So this was a factor. Okay, x plus 1 went in evenly. And what I get, since this is a degree 3, this is going to be 1 degree less x squared plus 3x minus 10. That's our answer. Okay, x plus 1 times this gave me this. Okay, on number 5, find the roots, okay, or zeros. Now for this one, when I see this one, I notice that this one is quadratic in nature. What I mean by that is if you look here, and you first off, you need to have a trinomial, and you look here and you see that this x squared, this middle variable here, if I squared that, I get this, then it's quadratic in nature, okay? So you can think of it this way. You can let u equal x squared. So this would be u, and this would be u squared. So you can think of basically about u squared minus 7u plus 12 equals 0. And I can factor that. So that is going to be what multiplies to a positive 12 and adds to a -7, a -4, and a -3. So I'm going to get u equals 4, u equal 3. But remember, it wasn't a u, it was an x squared. So that means x squared is equal to 4, and x squared is equal to 3. So I'm going to get x is equal to, when I solve this, plus or minus 2. That's 2 answers. Should be getting 4 because it's a degree 4. And x is equal to, and then this is where you see conjugates coming in. I take the square root of this. I get a positive and a negative √3. And those are your answers. Let me make it look like a 3. So we have 4 answers total. Try one more time there. So plus or minus 2, plus or minus √3. If you can notice it's quadratic in nature, I would try to factor it, because sometimes you might end up with something like this where maybe it wasn't a perfect square. This one wasn't. We got not rational numbers here. We got irrational. You might have that happen in both cases. So I would try to factor a problem like that. Okay, so this one here, I'm going to be doing my p's over q's. And so when I'm looking at the p is going to be basically the coefficient here, which is 1. And my q, sorry, my q is going to be the coefficient there. This is going to be my p. So again, this is going to give me my q. This is going to give me my p. So I'm going to have p over q equals, and I have plus and minus in front of everything. I'm just going to put it at the front, but everything's going to be plus or minus. I'm going to have all factors of 48. There's a lot of factors of 48. I try to do it in a systematic way, going in order. 1 goes into 48, 2 goes into 48, 3, 4, 5 does not, 6 does. Now, once I get to 6, 6 and 8, 4 and 12, 3 and 16, 2 and 24, 1 and 48. And again, these are all plus and minus. And then I would put it over all the factors of 1, which is my q, The factors of 1 are 1. So I'm going to end up with just integers. So I don't really need to think about that 1. But if it was another number besides 1, I would have to make sure I work it out. Okay, so for this, I'm going to do 1. I don't have an x cubed, so I need to put a 0, 1, negative 14, negative 48. Okay, and I'm going to do my synthetic division. I'm going to do it in kind of a table form here. I need to get 4 answers. Okay, I'm going to start with 1 and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to start with 1. I'm going to bring down 1. 1 times 1 is 1. I add it to 0, 1. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2, plus a negative 14 is a negative 12. Negative 12 times 1 is negative 12, plus a negative 48 is a negative 60. Okay. Was 48 below, 60 below now. Okay, let's try 2. Bring down my 1. 2 times 1 is 2. I add it to 0, I get 2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10, plus a negative 14 is a negative 4. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, plus a negative 48 is a negative, let's do negative 8, negative 56. So now let's say I try a 3. Okay, bring down my 1. 3 times 1 is 3. I add it to 0, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. I add it to 1, 10. 10 times 3 is 30. I add it to negative 14. I get a negative 16. Negative 16 and 3 is a negative 48. I add it here. I'm going to get a negative 96. Okay, I am now down at negative 96. Okay, so now let's try. And looking at this, I believe I missed a sign here. So here, let me just double check this. I think this should be a positive 16 because I had 10 times 3 is 30. 30 plus a negative 14 is a positive 16. And then a 16 times 3 is 48, plus a negative 48 is 0. Okay, so I have to be careful with my signs there. Okay, so I did find a 0 right here. Okay, so I know that x equals 3 is 1 out of my 4 answers. So this was a degree 4. Now I have a 3. I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to do this 3. Okay, so 1, 3, 10, 16. Now, 1 didn't work, it's not going to work again. 2 didn't work, it's not going to work again. 3 did work, could work again. However, notice that this is now a 16. Okay, so that means that some of these numbers are not going to be worth me trying. So 48 is not, 24 is not, 16 could, 12 doesn't go into 16, 8 does, 6 does not go into 16, 4 does. 3 worked, but 3 does not go into 16, so it's not going to work again. And again, 2 and 1, but they could be a negative 1 and a negative 2, so I'm not going to cancel those out, okay? But the other ones, positive or negative, are not because they're not going to be factors of this. So now looking at this, let's say I try, so again, I said these ones won't work, 3 won't work. Now, what I do notice is these are all positive. So I'm not going to try a positive. I'm going to have to try my negative. So basically the numbers that I'm going to try at this point, negative 1 could work, negative 2 could work because I tried the positive 1 and 2, did not try negative. Negative 4 maybe, negative 8 maybe, negative 16. These are the ones I'm going to try. So I personally am going to start with negative 1. So I'm going to do negative 1, bring down my 1. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, add it to 3, 2. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, add it to 10, 8. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8, add it to 16, 8. Okay, so let's try negative 2. Bring down my 1. 1 times negative 2, add it to 3, 1. 1 times negative 2, add it to 10, 8. 8 times negative 2, negative 16, add it to 16, 0. So I found another answer, okay, another 0 right here. So I know x equal negative 2 is an answer. And again, started with a 4. This is now a 3. Took that 3. Now I'm down to a 2. So this is a quadratic. So I am going to write out x squared plus x plus 8 equals 0. I cannot think of anything that multiplies to 8 and adds to 1. I personally want to complete the square with this, so I'm going to do quadratic formula. Okay, so I'm going to scooch this up a little, give myself some space. And so I'm going to get x is equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared. I like to put whatever I'm squaring here in parentheses, because if this had been a negative, sometimes students enter it in wrong. So whatever it is here, it's going to end up being a positive, but just put it in parentheses with the square outside so you don't miss it. Minus 4 times my a, which is 1, and my c, which is 8. So I'm just doing quadratic formula. All over 2 times my 1. And then if I work this out, this is going to be x equal negative 1 plus or minus, and this is going to be a 1. This is going to become a negative 32. So 1 minus 32 is going to be a negative 31. So this is going to be I root 31 all over 2. Okay, and those are going to be my other two answers. So I have 4 answers, 3, negative 2, and this looks, no, this is a negative 1 plus or minus I root 31 over 2. Again, should get 4 answers when it's a degree 4. Another degree 4, okay? This time I have less factors to try because that's a 9. Also, this is all positives, so I'm not going to try a positive because they're not going to cancel out. So when I'm doing my P over Q, plus or minus, again, I'm going to be looking at this, which is going to be my Q, looking at this, which is going to be my P. So all factors of 9 are 1, 3, 9, again, over 1, but over 1 is going to keep it the same. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And these are the ones I'm going to try. Now, I said I'm not going to try the positives because this is not going to decrease. Cancel anything out if these are all positives and these are positive. So I'm going to do 1, 6, 10, 6, 9. And let's say I try a negative 1 because I said I didn't want to try positives. So I bring down my 1, negative 1 and 6 is 5. 5 times negative 1, negative 5 plus 10 is 5. 5 times negative 1, negative 5 plus 6 is 1. 1 times negative 1, negative 1 and 9 is 8. Okay, so I'm going to try negative 3. I feel like I've done this problem before. Bring down my 1. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, add it to 6, 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, add it to 10, 1. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, add it to 6, 3. 3 times negative 3 is 9, negative 9, add it to 9, 0. So I did find a 0. So I have x equal negative 3 as an answer. Okay, so now I have my 4 down to a 3. I'm going to do the 3 now. So I'm going to have 1, 3, 1, 3. This is going to be my new synthetic division. Okay, give myself some space here. Again, negative 1 didn't work. Don't try it again. Since this P is a 3, 9's not going to be one I try. Again, I said I'm not going to try any positives, and my -1 didn't work, so I'm not going to try that, so I have to try -3. I'm going to probably have a double here. Bring down a 1. 1 times -3 is -3. Add it to 3, 0. 0 times -3 is 0. Add it. Hold on a second. So 1 times -3 is -3. Add it to 3, 0. 0 times -3 is 0. Add it to 1, 1. 1 times -3, -3. Add it to 3, 0. Sorry. Talking too fast and not doing the math right. Okay. So here we go. I got another one, x equal -3. So again, it was a double. Left with a degree 2. X squared plus 1 equals 0. X squared equals -1. So when I solve that, I'm going to get imaginary. X equals plus or minus I. And those are my 4 answers. And that's the end of the first worksheet. And I'll do a video for the second worksheet.